In this short video, I'm going to show an example of a recent prototype we built for a customer using Dynamic Widgets. We actually built two variants of this prototype for a fuller example, and overall this took us only a few hours using the Dynamic Widgets product. All of the widget-related functionality you'll see is actually working as it would in production, and all we had to do was drag and drop one or more of our custom-built widgets into the Perspective Manager to get this new functionality. We developed the actual look and feel of the prototype using a few web reports that plug into our dynamic widgets. Our AI was used to help with some of the styling and also to create mock data that we could use in the prototype. Now let's take a look at our first prototype example, which is the left-right panel. This particular application was designed to show patient information. There is also a search component where the users can put inputs into a form and run it and get back a list of users and select one of those users. We demonstrated that using other examples we've created in the past, and I'm not going to re-demonstrate those here as they're available on other videos. So I'm going to select the perspective, and we have previously set up a folder where we can view this perspective when we go into Smart View. I should mention too, this is a fictitious company, but this is basically the prototype we presented to a real customer. This is a fairly simple left-right layout. I should mention though that these sizes here you couldn't achieve out of the box with standard web reports widgets. On the left-hand side, we can pick different items of patient information, and we can have that data then revealed and presented in the right-hand widget, and so on and so forth for selecting these different items. So this is fairly simple. But from a dynamic widgets point of view, as I mentioned, the sizes are unique, and we can have the application start with any size we want. We can dynamically change those sizes corresponding to different user events. So we could make the left widget wider, or for that matter, we could make the right widget narrower, hide it, reveal it, or whatever we want. Now let's look at the second example of this use case, one we're calling horizontal panels. We'll select the second perspective. This one we can see here has 4 widgets. 2 of them actually have web reports preloaded, and 2 of them are available to dynamically load content. I'm going to open this again in Smart View, and you'll immediately see why we call this a horizontal example. As soon as we load this page, we've chosen to load 2 different widgets. The top one we'll call a dashboard, and the second one, which is patient information. We could have made this larger, but one thing we demonstrated is any of these widgets, one approach you can use is that you can click on the header and make it bigger or smaller as you need. We can also, as I'll show you in a minute, provide icons to do that kind of thing. So it's very much customer's choice. The idea here is as and when you select one of these other areas of patient information, it reveals a new widget above patient information, as we assume this is what they're interested in, with that data loaded here. This particular one is clean, no other icons, and we haven't rigged it up to double click, but all of these techniques could be applied to all of the widgets. We'll click another one here. We've done this one slightly differently just to provide different examples. This one includes an icon here. This is one they had in their slide material. When we click on this, it actually collapses that, and we're back to the original screen. If we have one of these panels open, a third example we provided is you could have each of these panels as you click on them and they reveal not get rid of or not replace the previous panel. So if you wanted to have multiple panels visible, you could do that too. This one has a Smart View header on it. We've customized all of this, and we've given it 2 icons. So another example here is if there's a particular section you want to look at in more depth, you can maximize it, and then you can collapse it back down again. Ultimately, any of these you can close, and you're back to where you started. As you can see, this particular example shows several different Dynamic Widgets features. Firstly, in this and the previous one, we've used something called isolation mode, which allows us to avoid being trampled on by dynamic widget styles and classes, so we can create our own unique styles without any trouble. Secondly, we're using, again, some unique sizes that are not available normally. We're also using the concept of dynamic content, where we don't have to have everything loaded at the outset. We can keep reloading panels with new content as we click on different buttons. We also see that we can dynamically reveal or hide widgets, and we can also include unique icons in addition to any other buttons on here that allow us to control expansion, collapsing, and again, hiding. And that concludes our demonstration of these prototypes, but I'd be remiss if I didn't include a final section where we demonstrate how we also can use our built-in AI product to help with developing dynamic widgets. So I'm going to use a quick example of using Rave to create something like the solutions that I was just showing you. I should add at this point too that we've been using one of our other products, the Application Analyzer, for all of these demos. We use it as our interface for all things development and administration, but all of the Dynamic Widgets features are available simply by using Classic or Smart View. We just use this because it's much more efficient and brings all of the different Smart View pieces together. What I've done here is we've selected the Dynamic Widgets product through this application, and I'm going to then ask a question of Rave, which appears as a tab here, and it's in the context of Dynamic Widgets, so it won't kind of give me information about some other product as the first response. What I'm asking here, and I'll send this, is to build a system. Basically, if you pause this and read it, it's a very rough account of the prototype that we've just been looking at. And here's the response, and it's fairly lengthy. It gives an overview of what we're asking, so you can confirm that it's understood you correctly. It's what you're trying to do. It gives some basic statements of what that behavior will be. It talks about how the perspective should be configured with dynamic widgets and where to put them and how to set them initially. It gets into the actual web report code, and it's even provided some CSS for the buttons and various things in there. And as you get into it, it has, you'll notice these are some of our API. We have an API with multiple functions in it that let you do all the things you would want to do. For example, the patient info widget, things that we might want to put in there initially. And as we go down here, some of the other widgets, revealing them, writing content to them, and all that kind of stuff. Below here, it talks about all the different functions it used, the parameters that were put into it, and it's very comprehensive. And I hope that gives you an idea of how powerful that is. Obviously, it could also be used just to ask about different functions. How do I do a particular action? And or how does a particular function work? But it will also do this kind of solutioning. And that brings us to the end of this short presentation. I hope you found that interesting. And of course, you can always get hold of us at any of these coordinates or at gpetty@ravenblackts.com. Thanks for watching.